Good afternoon, Radio Land. It's great having you with us here on Spiritual Defense Radio. It has been a while, but it's good to be back and firing. Arnold, how in the world are you, even though you look concerned?
Hi, Jeff. No, I'm not concerned. I'm just an engineer looking at the computer.
Oh, okay.
I'm good.
Good.
It's good to see you again. It's good to... I mean, I've seen you. We see each other a lot.
Yes.
But it's good to be here and do this again.
Right. It has been too long, and it's great to be back in the saddle. You know, I hope that you all have been doing well, friends. The Rio Grande Valley has finally defrosted, and I believe that our winter is finally done. So it's like we're both chilling here in shorts and short sleeve shirts like we should be down in South Texas. And so it's a great time to be here and to be alive. Absolutely.
Outside our church building, we had like green jays. That's pretty cool.
Is that what you call them things?
I thought they were green jays.
They were like okay, if you don't see, I've just heard this word green jay for the first time.
They looked exotic.
Yeah, they were like miniature parrots. I mean, not full blown parrots, but like miniature parrots. There was like a flock of them.
That's cool.
Outside our church building when we went up to do our men's Bible study on Saturday, and yeah, they started taking off. They would circle the parking lot, go back to the palm tree. Circle the parking lot, go back to the palm tree. I was looking around for Alfred Hitchcock, waiting to see all the birds rise up. And because the bird migration season can be kind of scary down here in the Rio Grande Valley. It's just, it's crazy.
It does look like a scene out of Birds.
It does, especially like, you know, various places like the intersection of Trenton and 10th is bad. I don't know if there's other ones that are. Is that always? You've been down here longer than me. Has it always been like that?
Well, I mean, ever since the HEB went up.
Yeah. What we're talking about is like you just see, you know, there's an HEB, there's a Target across the street, shopping center. There's like a Whataburger and an AT&T store off another corner of it, and then there's like this bank on the other corner of it. And at this intersection of Trenton and 10th Street in McAllen, Texas, the whole power lines are lined with birds to the point that they're like bending down, and and all the trees to the point that you actually see more bird than tree, and everybody's squawking and everything is going and everything's moving. It is. It's just like, you know, when we first moved down here, I was just like, wow, you know, this is crazy.
Yeah. You know? I can imagine. So were you scared when you saw it?
I was the first time, yes. I was a little bit scared. I was just like, okay, are they going to come over and try to peck out our eyes? But
that's funny.
Yeah.
It's a thing, and I think ever since the businesses birds. I mean, we're going off on this bird thing here, but it's because like it's warm there on those power lines, and a lot of the times that's why they're there or in that area. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Anyway, let's go.
That's what it's like to have ADD. Your mind just kind of wanders, and you talk about what pops in your head.
Birds.
Yes, we talk
about
at least
birds. It wasn't me who brought up.
Yeah.
Or it was me who brought up the green jays. I was trying to say, hey, it's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day.
And you're like, birds, Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes. Birds. Gotta talk about birds.
But let's talk about other things.
Okay, let's talk about other things.
So, Jeff, the
Yes,
other
sir.
week we talked about a topic that we wanted to bring to the table. I know normally we don't talk about topics beforehand.
Yeah.
But this time we talked about a topic beforehand that is pretty interesting, especially to me.
Okay.
Because, I want to know more. I think I've heard a little bit of this story,
Okay.
but, we had wanted to talk about how you got into ministry, and you've been into ministry for like 24?
Nah, since I was the age of 24.
Oh, okay.
Not for 24 years, but since I was the age of 24.
24.
Yeah.
That's pretty young.
But since the year 2004.
Since the
I
year
guess if you want to
2004.
call it professionally.
Professionally. Well, when's the
But-
first time you got paid to preach?
Okay, first time I got paid to preach, I was in college, so fast track back, so maybe about 2001.
Okay.
But then if you want to talk about things I did without getting paid, I used to do like Bible hour stuff when I was a kid.
Oh.
And like puppet skits.
So you've been preaching since the young age.
Well, I wouldn't say I would definitely not call that preaching. In fact, I was asked, okay, we're jumping ahead. Okay, put it back into the Wayback Machine.
Uh-huh.
to about the year 19. Oh, let's call it 1993.
1993.
I was working Bible hour at White Rock Church of Christ, which is in Dallas, Texas. And I was asked to just, instead of doing a puppet like I usually do, or instead of doing a skit like I usually do, I was asked to just literally just go out and tell a Bible story, right? And it was Good Samaritan. Tell the story of the Good Samaritan and stretch it out to 5 minutes, right? Now, these days, that wouldn't be a problem. The problem these days would be limiting it to 5 minutes. But back in the day, Jeffrey had a problem, and the problem was speaking in public, like by himself with no gimmick, no skit, no acting silly, just straight out, just being yourself, go out and tell the story of the Good Samaritan. And I burned through the entire lesson in like 2 minutes. And to the point that one of the adults that were there came out and gave me an assist, to fill out the rest of the time because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it at all. And it was just like nerves, and everybody, you get up there, everybody's just staring at you, expecting something. And, so that was that. So I'm probably going to reiterate. That's not even a word.
Reiterate.
Thank you. Reiterate. Yeah, I'm a paid professional communicator. Anyway, I'm going to probably say this more than once of how much I did not want this at all.
So Jeff likes to mention a lot to me that he was dragged in, kicking and screaming into preaching.
Yes.
That's a quote.
Yes,
That's a direct quote.
I was dragged into it. In the beginning. Okay, here's what happened. Okay. All right, fast forward to my college years. Stephen F. Austin State University, home of the Fighting Lumberjacks. Which SFA is a notorious party school. I mean, the first day I was on the SFA campus, I saw a beer truck pull into one of the dorm parking lots. No joke. And
just kidding. So it's a. I thought it was like a private school. So no, it's
a state university. Oh, yeah, it's a state university. And by the way, you're not allowed to cheer that kind of stuff until we get sponsorship.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, sponsored by beer, generic beer. No, but okay. So SFA is a normal.
Yes, it's a state university. It's in Nacogdoches, Texas, in the East Texas Pine, and. Yeah, it's a beautiful school, beautiful campus. I graduated high school having done a lot of psychology classes, right? And we had clusters, and I was in the cluster of the social sciences at my high school. In which at my high school we had automotive, hairstyling, radio broadcasting, television broadcasting, aeronautics, greenhouse, and just all these different career type clusters. I was in behavioral science. And so with behavioral science, as you were into a junior and senior year in high school, you could really either focus on law or psychology. And so I focused on psychology. And so, taking that, I was like, maybe I should do something in the field of psychology, once I'm an adult, because I have already 4 years of these types of courses under my belt. So then I did a year of community college at Eastfield Community College in Mesquite, Texas, home of the Harvesters. Our fighting colors were yellow and brown, which that's awful. Ew. Yeah,
gross.
And I did a year there. I had friends of mine who I went to church with that were a year younger than me. They graduated after my first technical year of college, at Eastfield. And they were like, hey, we're going to SFA. It's like, where are you going to go after Eastfield? And I was like, I don't know. That's how much drive I had back then. I was like, I had no idea where I wanted to go to school. I haven't researched that at all. So they were like, we're going to SFA. Why don't you come? So I was like, okay, why not? And we checked it out and everything, and I was either lied to or I misheard, because at the time the end goal of psychology was to be a forensic psychologist. That's what I wanted. And so I was talking to the psychology head at SFA, and I heard him say, oh yeah, we do that. But when I got there, they were like, no, we don't do that at all. Sam Houston does, which is the rival. And I was like, Okay. So again, I give him credit. I give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I misheard, but on that day, it really sounded like he said, "Yes, we do that." But anyway, that was
Wow.
20 some odd years ago. But anyway, so I started going there. Right. So I'm taking school at SFA. I'm a psychology major, sociology minor, and going there with my friends, who most of which are music majors. They call them Bible chairs, but basically it's like a Christian student center across the street from SFA campus, and you had a whole row of them. Like you had the Baptist student center, then you had us, which was called the Yellow House, and then you had the Catholic, and just on down the line, and then you had the coffee house, Java Jacks, which was awesome, and so we spent a lot of time there. And that was something that was really beneficial for us. We didn't go to a Christian university at all in any stretch of the imagination, but we regularly went to the Yellow House, which had devotionals and get-togethers. And when kids didn't have anything going on, we would like go hang out. It was like a home away from home, in which you could interact with people who loved God, loved the Lord, wanted to take part in church activities and things like this. And so that's what you would do. And so, like on Thursday nights, we would have a meal and a devotional, which sometimes the meal was home cooked, which again, most of us lived in dorms, so all we are getting is like school food at the time. So it was a good,
Yeah.
trade up, and we would go and again hang out. We would go and have devotionals on our own. We would get together and sing. We'd get together and do a variety of things, and I loved the Yellow House atmosphere, and I was over there as much as I could. And I was going to school, taking my psychology classes, and I got to I met Sherry in the fall semester of 1999, which was, we didn't really interact anymore. That was the famous story of how we met over Halloween. She was having a get together at her place, and that's really the only time we really interacted that semester. That was also the low point for me, because I'm going to school, I'm doing this stuff, and I'm not happy. I'm just not happy,
Yeah.
at all. I'm not happy. I'm lonely. I'm just, it's it's not going well for me. I felt lost. I felt purposeless, because I felt like I'm on this ride that I couldn't get off, and it's just, and like I said, the Yellow House stuff was going great. Some other things were going great, but as far as like my psychology classes and whatnot, I wasn't feeling the vibe of the teachers. I wasn't feeling the vibe of the other students that were in my major. Because when you go to you're in college. I mean, usually you go with people who are in the same major as you. You kind of interact. You meet people. You kind of you have that bond of having the same major.
Yeah.
I didn't have that at all. I couldn't tell you another person that was in the psychology major with me, and again, it was a dark time. I'll just leave it at that. It was a dark time, and so I'm walking around. I got to the point that when I feel morose, there's a good word. When I feel morose, there are times that I'll just get out and I'll just walk, right? I'll just get out, and try to get out of my own head for a bit, and just kind of and a college campus is a good place to do that. You live on campus, so you just, get out your front door and just go. And so I would do that. I would do that a lot, just walk around and just walk. And I remember there was this one night, I'm just walking around. I'm not at peace with myself. I'm not, I'm just in this dark mood and just, again, just feeling lost, purposeless, not knowing what it is I'm supposed to be doing in life. And I remember just screaming out to God that night. It's like, either use me or take me, because I was tired of feeling this way. So use me or take me. What is it that I'm supposed to be using? Where is it that I'm supposed to be going? What am I supposed to do? So after getting that off my chest, it actually, kind of felt good. Went back, finished the semester out. Spring semester, year 2000. I go into a class called Abnormal Psychology, which was actually my favorite of the psychology classes that I ever taken. It was a great class. I had a great teacher. But also what made that class very, very special was in walks this redheaded girl. And the first thing out of her mouth is, "Hey, I know you." and it's my future wife, Sherry. And she comes over here and she sits down in the seat right next to me. And also, friends, this is actually like the first time or one of the first time I actually had a class with somebody I knew, even though I didn't know her well at the time. I knew her, and so she sat there right next to me for the rest of the semester, and so that happened. Also, what happened that year was that was the first year that we got to go to, or I got to go to San Benito. The Yellow House every spring break goes on a mission trip. And for several years in a row, we would go down to the Sunny Glen Children's Home, which is located in San Benito, Texas, which if you don't know where that is, friends, that is down in the Rio Grande Valley. Actually about down the road about, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes down the road. And it's one of those ironies that I've done like 4 mission trips down to the valley before I was even married. And I was like, man, I never think I'd live here, but I do now. But so we go down there and we would do odd jobs for the children's home. We would do some repainting and remodeling and things of this nature. And so it started also this trend of that every night on the spring break trip, somebody would give a devotional thought. We would have a devotional every night. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I've been going to the Yellow House since the semester before, and I knew many of the people there and all that. And so they were like, hey, Jeff, why don't you do one? And again, Jeffrey don't public speak. Jeffrey never wanted to public speak. Jeffrey comes in, hugs the back wall, and then when it's time to go, he leaves. That's Jeff's jam. That's his wheelhouse. That's where he feels comfortable. And so they were like, oh, come on, just do it. Just do the thing. And I was like, oh, fine, just to get him off my back. I was like, fine, whatever. So I agreed to it. And I was supposed to speak like the Thursday night. And so we go on the mission trip. And, everybody's speaking and everything. And so Thursday comes. And we do our work. But it turns out, by strange coincidence, one of the people that were on our trip with us, she was actually from San Benito. And so her family actually invited us out to their place on Thursday night in order to have a South Texas cookout. So got to have my first taste of true South Texan hospitality, which I've had many cases of since. And lo and behold, would you believe it if I told you that, man, as the time went by, everybody completely forgot that I was supposed to speak that night.
Oh, did they?
Oh, yes, they did. And Jeff, at the time, do we think Jeff told anybody that, hey, guys, I was supposed to do a devotional talk this night?
I think Jeff, he slinked off into the darkness.
That's right. Yeah, Jeff didn't say a word and helped himself to another fajita, is what Jeff did. And so we stayed out there until like midnight. And then we're heading back to the children's home where we were staying. And then, like, when we got there, which we didn't get there till like 12:30, so everybody's tired from the work and also being out. And the next day we're going to do if you do a trip down to South Texas, you always got to hit Mexico and you always have to hit the island.
Well,
and so, yeah.
Back then it was easier.
Yeah. And so that's what we were doing on Friday. So everybody was going to bed. And then somebody was like, hey, wait a minute. Jeff was supposed to speak tonight. And I'm like, yeah, but what
are we going to do?
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I know, it's sad, right? Man, I was so looking forward to it. But inside I'm like, slick guy, he got away with it, and so enjoyed the rest of my trip.
So you never had to do it?
I never did it.
I never did it. I thought someone was going to call you and say, well, do it right now.
Nope.
Because that's what Jeff does, everybody.
Yeah.
That's what Jeff likes to do to a certain me.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you're tired? Oh, we missed it. Okay, well, we still got time. Why don't you...
we still got time.
Yeah, we still got time.
Why do you think I do that?
He's trying to prepare me.
I'm trying to prepare you, but it's like I know that trick. I know that trick because I did that trick.
Well, let me get away with that trick.
No, because it didn't do me any favors.
Right.
But that's not where the story ends, because obviously, something must have happened, right? So we get back from San Benito, and like a week or two pass, right? And again, like I said earlier, every Thursday night at the Yellow House, we have a devotional. And it's either done by one of the guys in the group, regular guys in the group, or our campus minister will do the devotional thought, or we'll have a guest speaker come in because there was a lot of small churches out in that part of East Texas that also gave funding to the Yellow House and tried to work with us to help us to adjust to become Christian adults. And so we were supposed to have a guest speaker that night, and he canceled. And so while that's happening, I'm at my dorm, and I'm in the study hall that we had attached to our dorm, and I'm actually studying, I'm doing some work and everything, And by this time, I need to say is like, I thought I got away with not giving the devotional thought. So guess what I did with my lesson that I actually hand wrote out? I threw it away.
Oh, no.
Because who needs it? I don't need it. I'm not going to say it. So why keep it? And so,
that's why I don't write any of those down.
Yeah. So, so I threw that aside. So I'm studying. I'm going on with my life, right? I'm going on with my life. And, Sherry and I have started hanging out. We're actually to the realm of being best friends. And now at this point, and so life has picked up a little bit. I'm happy with myself. My roommate, who's also one of the guys I came from Dallas with, and also does a lot of stuff at the Yellow House, he comes bursting into the study room with a huge smile on his face, and he just says, "Guess what?" And I detest guesting games like this. But I'm just like, "What?" He says, "Well, I was out at the Yellow House with Fortson, our campus minister. And we're supposed to have a guest speaker tonight at the devotional, but last minute he had to cancel. And so, there's just some of us just kind of sitting around and just wondering what we're going to do, because the devotional starts the meal starts at 6, the devotional's at 7. This is like 5 o'clock. I mean, I was about to pack it away and start heading over there. So he's like, "Well, it's just really last minute. It's like, what are we going to do?" And then it's like we all just kind of stopped and looked at it. It's like, wait a minute. San Benito. Jeff was supposed to have spoken at the Thursday night devotional, but we forgot, and he didn't do it.
Looks like you got your chance.
I'll go get Jeff to do it. And I'm like sitting there taking notes, right? And I wasn't really looking at him, but as he's telling the story, I'm looking at him. And then when he says that, "Jeff, you're speaking tonight," the pencil or the pen just drops. And I just like, "What did you do?" It's like, "I volunteered you to speak." Wasn't my decision. It was my roommate's decision. Who, by the way, at the time, my roommate has like your build. So I could have picked him up and broke him over my knee like a pencil. And so I was just like, "You did not." He's like, "Yeah, what's wrong? It's going to be great." I was like, "Oh," and I was like, I threw it away. And it's like, "Well, go find it." It's a guy's dorm. We don't clean. Go find it, So I slam all my stuff in, slam my books in, slam everything into my bag, and I was just marching upstairs, just now mad at the world, and go in there, and I'm looking through the trash, looking through all this, and finally find it, smooth it out. My handwriting is atrocious, but I was like, "All right, here we go," and off we go. We go to the Yellow House, and I'm just like, it's like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this wasn't. I missed my opportunity. This is supposed to be somebody else. I wasn't going to do this. I don't want to do this. And
Yeah.
Just all the way there. All the way through the meal. I don't remember eating a whole lot that night. I'm just like And so we moved the tables aside. We make a circle of chairs and everything, and my roommate was also one of the guys who did most of the song leading, and so we're singing and everything. I'm just like, I know you can't see me, but I had the crossed arm with the hand under the chin, bouncing the leg, just looking around at all this. You might as well have just given me a blindfold and a cigarette, because I thought I was going to my death. I mean, honestly, this is how I felt. And to make matters worse, someone slipped me a pocket recorder so that I could record this message. Why? I didn't, want to hear it again, but I think my mom got to hear it once, so that was special to her. But I was like, holy cow, why? Why? And again, one of those old school mini tape ones, So finally, I look over at my friend and I was like, can I go? Can I do this now? Can I do this now? And he's just like, wait. And so finally, they're like, okay, Jeff, go. I was like, oh, finally. So I get up in the middle of the circle. Because they asked me, it's like, do you want the circle or do you want like everybody like in rows? And I was like, no, the circle. I don't need everybody just like staring at me. So I'm in the middle of a circle of chairs, everybody looking. So it's like man in the middle. And I teach this lesson. And what was it about? I couldn't tell you specifics. I used a lot of Proverbs, which I really love Proverbs. But I think I was just talking about, living the righteous life and not knowing how God may use you. And it's like, I also remember, and I remember this vividly because my friend was like, I can't believe you did that. But, again, I'm a movie buff, not as much now as I was back then. And I remember talking about, how I always believed, you've heard me say this before, I always believed that verse out of Hebrews 13 is super awesome of how we all entertain angels and we don't even know it. And it's like, you just never know how life is going to treat you. And it's like, you never know. You might, and the movie City of Angels with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan just came out, right? Like that, like a few months before. So it's like, or the year before. He's like, you never know. It's like an angel could be the guy in the kitchen next to you sitting there chopping lettuce, because that's what Nicolas Cage did in that movie. And he tries to accidentally cuts himself and the knife just goes through the thumb. And I've referenced that like off the top of my head. That was a complete riff. And, and I spoke. And I survived, and that's the kicker. I survived. And afterwards, apparently it didn't go half bad. And it wasn't about compliments. That's not what this is about. Mm-hmm. It was not about the compliment. It was about, that night was one of the first nights that I was at SFA that I did something and it felt like I did something worth anything. I felt like I did something of value. Mm-hmm. It was like I finally felt like at peace. And it wasn't because people said you did good, or actually there was a whole lot of, I'm surprised you did as well as you did. Granted.
Ouch.
But it was well, you should have known me back in the day.
Yeah.
But there was a sense of peace that came over me that finally I did something that brought a sense of purpose. Because up until that time there was a whole lot of purposelessness.
Yeah.
Now I did something that actually brought in some purpose. And that just turned everything on its head. I mean, from that point on, I was always asking our campus ministers, like, look, if you don't have a speaker for Thursday or whatever, let me know. And in other words, I went from the person who was trying to dodge the bullet, because people tried to rope me into doing it before.
Yeah.
I was the person who was actually picketing in order to be able to do it again. I wanted to do it again. And I went from not wanting to do it at all to wanting to do it again. And, and so again, I was, and my mind was starting to open more to like reading the Bible more, to looking at how I can tie these things back to the Bible, and all this types of stuff, and it was just, again, it was a big change, and it was, my friends were noticing that there was a change, there was something else going on. Also at this time, I started my relationship with Sherry, so we were going out, and so and that's really how it was, and that's what I did up until like October of 2000. November of 2000, Thanksgiving. So the school year for 99 2000 ended, summer happened. And then now I'm back for my starting my second year at SFA. So it's Thanksgiving break of the year 2000. And there's this restaurant in Mesquite called the Black Eyed Pea. And it's like a home cooking type place, Southern food, everything deep fried, including the table, type restaurant. And there was just the three of us, so we went there for Thanksgiving dinner. And and again, I've been speaking more at the Ella House. We would even go to a homeless shelter and do like a devotional and singing for them, and I would speak at that. And I would, and again, it was just awesome. By this point, I was paid to preach at Mount Enterprise Church of Christ in Mount Enterprise, Texas, in East Texas.
That sounds like Star Trek.
Well, it's literally a one-stop sign town. I mean, the population of the town, I believe, is under 1,000 people. My roommate actually had a job doing their song leading for them.
So your roommate got you the gig.
Yes. Well, I would go with him every Sunday.
I know a guy.
Yeah, I know a guy. I would go with him every Sunday. Anyway, before just to get company on the road trip and whatnot, and so I knew the people there, and so they offered me to preach, and I was like, okay, that was my first Sunday morning preaching. That was interesting. I burned through the parable of the prodigal son for a 45-minute Bible class in 15 minutes.
Oh, of course. That sounds, and this is shocking because you'd be surprised now how long Jeff. Well, I mean,
go ahead, say it. Go ahead.
You wouldn't because it's been 30 minutes and you're still talking. I'm just kidding.
Actually, it's been 28 minutes. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, it's that time. Like I say, time has changed. But I burned through the prodigal son in a class in 15 minutes, and no joke, I looked out and I was like, anybody else got anything you want to talk about?
So everyone, you can pull out your phones and play your games.
This was the year 2000.
They had
Snake. Excuse me.
Snake. Yeah,
yes, they had Snake. Okay, but yeah. So on that Thanksgiving at the Black Eyed Peas, that's when I told my parents, and I think the thoughts been going around my head a long time before that. But I finally gave it verbiage to my parents, and I was like, I think I want to quit SFA and I want to go to preaching school. And my parents were just like floored. Floored. I mean, they just, I think, it shocked me when I said it. It was just like, because again, I'm starting my second year at SFA is my third year of college, and I wanted to change completely. Yeah. And I didn't, and the thing about the preaching schools, and again, it's nothing against Christian universities or anything. I was done with, mentally, I was just kind of done with colleges. I was done with colleges, and the preaching school model I just really appreciate because it's like a trade school. It's like a trade school mindset. I mean, there's still a lot of learning. There's a lot of book work and homework and essays and things like that. But again, the idea is like we are here to train preachers. That's what we're doing. We're not doing some other major. If you come here, if you want to learn how to preach. And so that was the single focus of what they did. And for years, Mesquite Church of Christ, which is where my parents went, by that time, I grew up seeing interns and people that the church was putting through school and everything. And so I was like, I think I want to do that. I think that's what I want to do. I was like, this is, they asked me why. I was like, because this is like the only thing that I've ever done that has ever brought me peace in any sort of professional way. It's just it felt right. If you've ever had that feeling of just rightness, like you when you finally figure out that you're doing what you were put on earth to do. That's what I got out of preaching. Which is ironic because, like I've prefaced this with, I didn't want it. I didn't go looking for it. And, I was volunteered by someone else the first time I had to do it, but again, and my old roommate tells me to quit saying it this way, but there's literally not another way to say it. If he didn't volunteer me that day, I probably wouldn't be here, in this role, because again, I didn't want it. I had to be nudged in that direction, which is why I nudge you, by the way. Because I recognize the signs. But but that's really how it started. I'm not going to go into the whole like my preaching school experience, but that's how it really started for me. Was that you finally get you finally get volunteered by somebody else, and you do it, and it gives you a sense of purpose, and the purpose led to, you know what, you could actually, people do this for a living, genius, but then it's having to cross that bridge. It's like, wow, do I really want to take this trip? Because again, you have no idea where it's going to lead you. You have no idea where you're going to go, and you don't have any idea who it's going to affect. Case in point, I told my parents, I never told Sherry, when Sherry first met me, Sherry and I first started going out, I was going to be a psychologist. Psychologists get paid a little bit more than preachers, but then so I got back and I told her about this decision I made, and it was, and as she'll tell you, she was just like, well, shoot, I already like this guy, and it was because that's the thing is like, what, I make this change. I finished the year, the 2000-2001 school year at SFA, and then I made a move to preaching school. Mm-hmm. But so I did 2 years at SFA. It makes it sound like a prison, but I did 2 years. I was out in 2 years. It affected her too. I mean, because obviously we are in this relationship, but she chose to stay by me. And again, we were married. We were married. I started school in 2001, and we're married in the summer of 2002. Hmm. So. So it was after my first year. So, but yeah, that was the thing that, so she was brought forth with this choice as well. Do I continue trying to have this relationship with this guy, or, do I walk away because we weren't married? She could have left, so she took a leap of faith as well. Yeah. And so, but that's how it started. Again, I don't want to say by chance. I do think it was God directed. I do think it was God guided. I do think it was funny because I have a sixth sense of humor. It was funny how things came together. But that was really the genesis of it all. I didn't want it. I didn't go looking for it, but God still presents an opportunity, and lo and behold, it turned out to be what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I was gonna wrap it up. No, I'm just kidding. No, but the moral, like you said, the moral here is because you talk about how you, especially you and me, how you encourage me to speak up in front of our group devotionals that we have here, or and it started out with encouraging me to pray in prayer group, or not in prayer group, but in Bible study. At the end, everyone's praying, and then I can remember going from not praying to jumping in to praying, and you never it is funny, you never know what God's got planned for you, or how the Spirit is going to affect you in these certain situations. I know oftentimes when we pray, it's say what's on your heart, and when you do that, it feels like everything starts coming, oh, what's on my heart, and I get real nervous and anxious about what I want to say sometimes. But sometimes I feel like that's the Spirit. We have these things that we feel like we want to say, and in your case, it just it makes you feel better when you say it, even if you were scared to say it in the beginning. So I want to thank you for encouraging me like that. Yeah. I feel early in my Christian walk, right? So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do as far as ministry, because everything I'm doing now as far as career choices, it's not, it's different, and we're all different. So how. This has been, I guess, a thought in my mind. How do we continue our ministry if we're not gonna go into the preaching route or the missionary route?
Haven't we done a podcast?
Did we do a podcast?
Yeah, we have. You should see a podcast on that in our archive.
Let's revisit that real quick.
Yeah,
because I think we've talked about that. But there's other ways to serve, or there's other ways to do this.
Absolutely.
And, you don't always have to be a preacher to prepare a devotional and speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
No,
right?
that's cool. Like I said, all of our archived episodes are in the YouTube page of the North Mission Church of Christ, because we have tackled this before, and because the question was what makes a mission? What makes what makes a strong, I guess, Christian or servant of the Lord, and do you have to be a servant of the Lord and be a preacher? The answer to that is no. Right? It's just, that would be like saying, I don't know if that picked up. I tried not to belch on mic. I'm sorry, but that's like saying that if you're not an elder, you're worthless. Which this morning in our Saturday morning men's Bible study, we're talking about the qualifications of elders in the book of Titus, and the truth of the matter is like not all Christian men qualify to be elders. Okay, fine. You don't qualify to be an elder. Does that mean then you give up?
Like give up on what? Give
up on your the whole bit, the whole Christian life,
Christian life.
Your whole
No,
relationship.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, no, absolutely not. Okay, so obviously
I would say the more dangerous thing to consider is, does that make me less of a Christian?
Why?
Than the man who is the elder?
Why?
Right? Because for the qualifications, like not that it's supposed to be a checklist, but
no, it's not a checklist.
Sometimes I can understand the idea of feeling like you don't add up to the qualifications of something, and we're worldly. I mean, we're Christians, but we live in the world, and sometimes the world affects us, and like we still might, whether or not we can get over it, that's one thing, but all this stuff, like it would have, I guess what I'm trying to say is I would understand like the reflex, that knee-jerk reaction, like, oh, I wasn't chosen. Let's just break down this thought. Okay, just break down this thought. Okay, Titus wasn't an apostle. Okay.
Was he less than?
No.
In the eyes of God?
No.
Now, he was less than in authority. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Yes. He was less than in responsibility. Yes. But he was not less than in the eyes of God. Same thing with elders and also men who don't qualify to be elders. It's like that we're still called to that lifestyle. We talked about that this morning, is even if we don't qualify to be an elder, we're still qualified to achieve that lifestyle, to achieve those qualifications. Even if we're never chosen for that role, that's what we're supposed to be aspiring to be. And it's a difficult list, but with that list comes a responsibility. It becomes as the book of James will talk about, as far as Bible teachers are concerned, James tells us not everybody should think themselves to be a teacher or qualified to teach, because those who teach will be judged more harshly.
Yeah.
So again, with every responsibility comes also more responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. It's the gospel according to Spider-Man. And so that's also part of it. Is like the more you try to take on yourself, you are responsible for more.
Yeah.
And so, okay, fine. You asked the question. Okay, you may not ever be a quote unquote professional preacher, whatever that means. Somebody who does it for a livelihood is what I'm thinking you're saying. It's like this is.
Are you putting it on your taxes, preacher?
No, well, actually, preacher taxes are annoying, because it's like you work for, quote unquote, you work for a church, but you're still deemed as self-employed. So you have to do self-employed stuff.
Right,
but anyway,
okay, yeah, that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, don't get me started on the. Okay, here's my tax advice. You ready? Here it is. Okay. Get a good accountant.
That's sound.
But there you go. So, but the point being is that are the people there less than? No, absolutely not. Yeah. Because we're all called to different roles. Because again, what is ministry? Ministry is anything you do from the Lord with your life. That's what you do. Now, some of us move around. Some of us don't. Some of us get to do this vocationally. Some of us don't. But the idea of doing it vocationally, okay, some preachers don't get to do that. I mean, the preacher I worked with when I was in Oklahoma, the reason why I was there, the reason why they needed an associate minister in the first place, was because years before that, the church went through a period of time where they didn't have as much money, and the preacher made a decision. Instead of leaving the Antlers Church of Christ because they couldn't pay him, he decided to stay, and he opened up his own business. He became an AC and heater guy, and he worked his own business as well as being a preacher.
Oh, well.
So in other words, and if you look at the job, the one ads in ministry, sometimes they'll tell you flat out, it's like, we're a small church and we're looking for somebody who's either retired and able to draw Social Security, or we're working for somebody who doesn't mind being bivocational. In other words, the idea of the preacher who just gets to do that without having to rely on any other sort of income, it's a novelty. I mean, it really is. We sometimes might want to dream like, I want to work at a big church where you get a big fat paycheck and I can just focus on this and not have to worry about other. It's like, come on. I mean, okay, maybe you'll get that. Maybe you won't. Maybe God will put you in a place where you might have to work another job in order to make ends meet.
I guess don't put like this idea of preaching in a box. Like, I can only be a preacher and not do, like, for example, another job.
Right.
At the end of the day.
It depending on how much responsibility the church gives you. I mean, it can tie up your time. Like I said, right now, I'm blessed with being able to. I'm able to have a very free schedule.
I feel like you're with the church pretty full time though. Like, as free as your schedule is, you work with the church a lot.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I do. I on one hand I have a free schedule. On the other hand, I'm busy a lot.
Yeah,
and so but that's the thing is, if somebody calls me, I got to be able to go, and that takes time.
Yeah.
And if I had other employment, so to speak, it might be a little trickier. I would have to rework it. I would have to try to hopefully maybe find like night work or something. So I can still have my day.
Or like make a hobby into something, like you can paint.
No, I cannot.
Well, I hear someone's writing a book.
Wow, you dropped that. Yes.
Well, that's all we'll say. But you can do other stuff at home, is what I'm trying to get to. So like, you have the time. It seems like a very free-ish schedule, right? Like, you have the time to do the ministry that you want to do, which is help people at the end of the day, because it's more than just like preparing that thing on Sunday.
Yeah, the thing. That's how I would call it.
The thing that you do. It's a thing. I mean, because I see you every day of the week. We talk. We do lots of Bible studies, and like, it's obvious that what you do on Sunday is like a very small part of your job. Yeah. But some people don't see that. Like, they don't realize that.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if you were with us at the time or not, but I actually I try to put a lot of honesty in my sermons. I try to take blinders away from people and get people to look at things that are from a different point of view. And I asked them, and I laid out, this is before COVID, so I don't think you were with us yet, but I laid out all the classes I was doing at the time. So I was doing I was teaching a Wednesday morning class, I was teaching a Wednesday night class, I'm teaching Sunday morning, I'm preaching Sunday morning, and I'm also teaching the small group at the time, before Carl started doing it, and there was probably something else I was doing. And I said, so I asked him, I was like, when do you think is my least favorite time to speak?
The Sunday
morning. The Sunday morning was my least favorite, and it still is. It's my least favorite. It's my least favorite time to speak, but it's also the one that I'm the most known for. And again, the reason it's my least favorite time to speak is because, at least the way we do churches in America, is that I'm up front with a mic. And it's one-way interaction with the audience, and that's my least favorite, and that's the reason why. Because all the other times I'm speaking, there's two-way interaction, and so people can ask questions, and I can slow down, and I can really see if the people are tracking or not, not move on unless people are ready to move on. And, again, it's just that give and take aspect of it that you do not get on a Sunday morning. And then when I had to preach during COVID, I mean, goodness sakes, you really didn't get it then, because then you didn't even have the audience. I'm speaking to an empty room that's being recorded. And so, again, I mean, you lose that, because that's what it is for me anyway. Going back to ministry. What is ministry? Ministry is guiding people to the Word of God. And that's what I feel like happens more in the classes than maybe in a sermon. Because
Yeah.
after I get done with the sermon, people are like, "Oh, that was a good one." I was like, "Okay." What? Then ask them. Like Tuesday, what did I speak on?
Yeah.
I don't even know. Sometimes I don't know what I spoke on Tuesday. But the classes stay with you. But that's because you're able to take people and guide them through the Word of God.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a vocational preacher to do that.
Right.
And you don't have to be in a third world to do that. I mean, that's something that can be done anywhere at any time. And you don't have to be classically trained in order to do that. You need to know something about the Bible, absolutely, but you can get that out of basic Bible study on your own time. Something that our friend Carl and I wholeheartely agree on is like one of the worst things that has happened to the churches is the professionalism of the pulpit.
Mm-hmm.
That you have to be straight, that is for the straight-laced and the super intelligent and the super ultra studious with the huge vocabulary so I can show you how smart I am. It's like, no, that's a lot of wasted time there.
Yeah, like
it's
what is it? Knowledge puffs up, but love builds up.
That's
and
right.
I actually brought this up earlier at our Bible study today in 1 Corinthians when Paul says, I don't come to you with lofty speech. And like I take that, I mean obviously I take the whole Bible by heart.
Right.
But like that means a lot to me, I guess, like in the sense of how am I supposed to do this being ministry?
Right.
I
mean, how do you think Paul would have felt in our age today of, I have to have PowerPoint, and I have to have a powerful microphone, and I have to have, stage space, and I have to, all the trinkets. I have to have a good acoustic auditorium with which to speak.
But not only that, but like but for example, all your verses memorized or like, everything in your head, like to be kind of, I want to say esoteric.
Okay, well,
when it comes to like choosing Bible verses and not.
That's a podcast for another time. How because I feel you looking at me, but
No, I mean,
no. When I preach, I have an outline, so to speak, that I use on a PowerPoint. But then I speak to the audience, which actually the churches that I've worked at, they found that to be one of the more refreshing things about me is after I learned how to do that, to just go off script, so to speak, and just talk.
Yeah, there's got to be a balance because yes, like it's Bible knowledge is very important, but like
it's not a lecture.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a college
it's supposed to come
lecture.
from the heart.
I'm not. I joke a lot, and again, you weren't with us at the time, but I did a class on Revelation. Right. And I would always joke that, okay, y'all make sure to remember this because after this class, we're going to have our test. And I'd said, now 2 weeks after the class is over, I expect your Revelation term papers to be turned into me. But I joke because, the thing is like, I'm not teaching for college credit. I'm not grading papers and I don't give tests. And in other words, it's not my position to see how much information you can regurgitate on any given subject after I taught some class in order to be able to look at how intelligent my pupils are. That's not what it's about. I mean, it's about I'm trying to share with other people the words of life. And I want people to be able to learn the words of life because God's wisdom is made to be known. And people can learn God's word for their own benefit. And again, some very powerful evangelists I know, they're not preachers. They're people who work 9-to-5 jobs, but they do evangelism, you might say, on the side or in their off hours. And they have Bible studies with people that they meet at work or they meet at elsewhere. And they guide people to the Bible, and they guide people to baptism through those means, through what they do for a living. So again, ministry is anywhere. Yeah. It's just, some of us have chosen to make it a vocation, and we're able to do it. Okay, awesome. But that doesn't make anybody in the church any less that doesn't do it, because our job, I view one of the responsibilities that I have is to equip others to be able to do it. If they know how to do it, to try to get them to do it better. If they don't know how to do it at all, we're going to take you to boot camp, and you need, and we're gonna raise you up, because I do believe that every Christian out there needs to be able to do some sort of brief level of evangelism, be it either how has God affected your life, or let me tell you about God. Because I think it's Peter who talks about how everybody needs to have everybody needs to be able to give a reason to other people who ask them, how is it that you have such joy? They need to be able to tell them. You might not be able to preach through a book. Okay, fine, I get that. But can you tell people why you're a Christian, why you choose to still be a Christian, and how God has affected your life? And if you can do that, you're good. That's a good foundation. That can be built on. But that's a goal that I think all Christians should be able to have. And that's something I do. I try to help people do that, to be able to do that.
Now, when you put it that way, it seems like an easy job.
Well, I think the music stuff you do looks easy. Anytime you're surrounded by somebody who knows what they're doing, it looks easy, right?
Yeah, right.
But it's not always easy. But
working with people, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I guess that shouldn't, me personally, it shouldn't discourage me, and to anyone else that feels that way, it shouldn't discourage them either.
No. I was a Christian, and like I say, I was raised in the church. I didn't give any thought to preaching at all until I was 20. I mean, that's the thing, and I mean, that's, so 2 solid decades. I mean, I was in church for 2 solid decades, every Sunday, unless I was sick, I was at church. I was ready, I did the youth groups, I did the trips, I did the VBSs, I did all that. But the actual idea of preaching, again, I did not want it.
Interesting.
But then I kind of got found. But,
well, I mean, we're kind of running a little long. I think this has been a great story, and this has been a great reminder on being able to do God's work without necessarily being a professional,
right,
or feeling like we have to be trained, so to speak, from each other. Like, that's how we disciple each other, right? We just like learn a little bit of the gospel, and it's not like I'm training you to sell insurance.
Well, if I can say this, and I'll wrap up with this, training is good. Like, one, some basic things that I learned from preaching school that I needed. They taught me how to outline, for one thing. They taught me, and again, they also, we had classes on various books on the Bible, which again, it was a 3-year program that I went through. And this is the thing. Don't think that you have to go to like some university and drop thousands of dollars on tuition and books in order to learn how to do this. Surround yourself by good teachers, is one. But if you feel like you do need some more classical training, search out preaching schools. It's like the one I went to, it was like 90% paid. I think I really didn't have to pay like a whole lot at all. I might have had to pay for books, and those were heavily discounted. If if you want a definition of highway robbery, go into the business of college textbooks. I mean, it's never felt so ripped off in my life. But anyway, so I think I had to buy my books, and that was mostly paid for.
Oh,
so in other words, there's other ways you can go. Now, my preaching school that I went to doesn't exist anymore, but Sunset exists, and there's some others that exist in the country. If you're curious about this stuff, look them up, because again, you get high quality education without all the mess of university life, like having to take all these other things that you'll never use.
Right.
Again, that's the thing about preaching schools. It's like preaching trade school. You're going to go, they're going to teach you what you need, and you're going to use it. And if you don't use it all your life, it definitely gives you a good foundation with which to start. And I think that's one of the best decisions that I ever made, was deciding to go to a preaching school.
Well, I don't know if I'll be going to a preaching school, Jeff.
Oh, that's okay. But
what
do you have?
I have the elders at church. I got you, and I have my brothers and sisters who also who have been Christians for, much longer than me, who
Right.
can help teach me these things, right?
Yeah.
You especially having you around has been a blessing as far as my training in ministry goes, right? You Mr. Miyagi'd me into ministry. I hope you know. But and that's just what it is. Sometimes, like you said, we don't need like a big university, or sometimes we may not even need to go to a school to know how or to learn how to evangelize.
Right.
When evangelism is just like giving your testimony, or asking someone, like you said, like, hey, do you want